In today's video, we will look at some of the most commonly used columns and KPIs inside the Google Ads dashboard. And we are mainly focused on search campaigns here for the moment. So we're going to focus more on that. And most of these columns that we use for the search campaigns will typically also be used in most other campaign types, but some of the other campaign types might have some other columns that we are not going to look at today. So before you begin, we are going to go inside this campaign section here, okay? And to modify the columns, you have to click here in the columns, okay, and modify. And you can select which columns you want to see. So Google is going to show you some recommended columns and some frequently used. And then you can go into the all column section here where you would see columns categorized by different categories, like performance columns are here, impressions, clicks, CTR, cost, and setup and conversions. And so these are all categories, and you can expand on each of them to look at what columns individually appear inside each. And on the right side, you're going to see some locked columns here. The locked columns basically mean you cannot remove them for this view. And they might change based on where you are in the dashboard, like campaigns or ads or keywords. And some of them might also depend on the campaign type you're using. So if you're using like a campaign with a bidding strategy for like a conversion optimization bidding strategy, then you might see some columns about that, which you might not be able to remove from here. And then below this, you can see other columns, which you can shuffle around or remove whatever you want to do with them. Like, for example, if I want to remove optimization score here or drag it somewhere else, I can do that. Okay. It will take effect only after I click on apply here. Okay. And I can also save my column set. So for example, if I want to use different column settings, so I can, let's say, general here and save and apply. And so if you come tomorrow or you want to like change the columns and then you want to revert back to the original setting, whatever you saved previously, you can click on columns and click on like the general setting here. So like we have search campaigns here, for example, this is another safe setting here. So I can see that. And if I want to change to general, I just click here and these other columns will be loaded. Okay. So let's look at some of the columns we use commonly and what they mean quickly. Okay, so this is how we typically organize, and it's up to your own preference, but this is how I do, and I've seen most of the other like people do here in Google Ads. So we begin with impressions because that's where it begins with. Impressions mean whenever your ad is shown, your ad is served, and that means an impression. And clicks basically is when someone clicks on your ad. Okay, do remember that according to the Google's official policy, they can count a maximum of 2 clicks for a single impression. And sometimes you might see that. And the reason why that happens is like if someone is searching for something and they click on your ad, go to your website, and then they come back to Google again and they're looking at other ads and they click at your ad again. So Google says in those cases, they will charge you for 2 clicks if this happens. Okay. So this is clicks. It's slightly different from another similar column, which is interactions. And interactions would also cover some of the video engagement and some other things, which clicks will not cover. And then we have CTR, which is basically a ratio of clicks and impressions. So if you get like 100 impressions and then 3 people click on your ad, then you will have a CTR of 3%. So it's a ratio of clicks and impressions. Okay. This is average CPC. This is the average of what you're paying for this campaign. Do remember that this is not always like, going to show you what like most of your traffic is paying, because if you get a few expensive clicks, this is the average. So it might show you like, that will affect how the averages are calculated. So this is calculated typically by dividing cost by clicks. So if you have incurred a cost of $5,095 and you got 1343 clicks, so you just divide this by this and you get 3.79. Okay. Then you have conversion columns. Typically, for most of the lead generation accounts where we are generating leads, we are going to look at mostly conversions and cost per conversion and conversion rate. And if you are doing e-commerce, or if for lead generation you are using some advanced tactics to pass conversion values, then you can also open conversion value and conversion value over cost, which is ROAS. Convergence is basically a count of the number of total conversions you got from each campaign or whatever view you're looking at. And this will depend on if you have set up tracking or not. If you don't have tracking set up, then you might not see any conversion in here. Okay. Cost per conversion, it's self-explanatory. Is like cost divided by number of conversions you've got, and then conversion rate is a ratio of your conversions and the clicks. Okay. These are the basic columns that we always look at almost daily. Okay, and then you've got some columns for competitive metrics, which if you want to open, you can go into the columns here, modify, and you will find them in the competitive section here. So you can see search impressions here, search lost IS rank, and search lost IS budget. And the reason why we typically look at them is because they show us how often our ads are appearing out of how often they were eligible to appear. So for example, if someone is searching for whatever keywords you're using in your target location with the times you have set up. So if someone is searching, like if people search 100 times for that keyword in that location, and your ads only appear like 15 times, basically your impression share is going to be 15%. And then out of the remaining 85% that you lost, Google tells you why you lost that. Was it because your budget was depleted or was about to deplete, so they were not showing your ads more often? And if that was the case, then that will appear in the search lost IS budget column here. And if the issue was not the budget, but it was like basically your ad was not, like your ad rank was low, which is basically a combination of your bid and the quality score. So if that was the reason, then it will appear in search lost IS rank here. Okay. There's other columns as well that you can look at. We're just going to look at some quickly here. If you're seeing a lot of activity in your analytics on your website with some other software that you use on your website, and it seems like spam, then you can look at these two columns, invalid clicks and invalid click rate. They will show any clicks that Google, like, which came from your ad, but Google says like they were not valid, like someone was just researching, or like someone was like using a VPN to click on multiple ads for different reasons. Someone was scraping maybe. So Google tries to detect them, and they will typically refund that click to you. So and the refund might not appear within the same day. So sometimes it might take a few days, some time to appear in your billing. But if you're getting invalid clicks, then you will see that using these two columns, invalid clicks and invalid click rate. And these are the interaction columns I was talking about earlier. They're similar to clicks, but they might include some other stuff as well, like views for video ads, for example, which clicks will not count. And some attribute columns are important as well. We might want to see, especially in the ad section, you might want to look at policy details, which will show you like why an ad was disapproved. Then we have comparative metrics here. There are some other columns in here as well, like search top IS and search absolute top IS. This shows like this same as impression share, but for the top slots, the top 4 slots, and this shows for the absolute top slot, like the number 1 position. Okay, so if you are running a brand campaign, your aim is typically going to be to appear at the very top of the page always. So in those situations, you can use these columns to find out how much in absolute top IS you're getting. Okay, and this shows like the exact match IS for the exact searches. Okay, so these are the most commonly used columns in the campaign view. We will go into the keywords view here because there is a few extra columns here that we typically use, which is the quality score columns. And we don't have it here because this account hasn't been running recently. And it wasn't like tracking things accurately for a long time as well. So you're not seeing a lot of convergence here. So this is the main quality score column where you will see a number 1 to 10, 1 being the lowest. And if your quality score is 1, typically your ads might not appear much at all. you know. And these three are the breakdown. So if your quality score is like, let's suppose like 5, and you want to see where the problem is, then you can open these three columns: expected CTR, landing page experience, and ad relevance. And these three will show you values of like below average, average, or above average. And wherever you have like average or below average, then you can see like there is some room for improvement there. So you might want to do something in that scenario. Like for example, if your ad relevance is below average or average, then you can add some keywords, relevant keywords in the ad copy to increase this. This is the easiest to increase, by the way. Okay, so these are the most commonly used columns in Google Ads. And there is also an option to create custom columns, which we will not go into in this video because it's another bigger topic. But just to show you, like if you want to create custom columns, like for example, if you want to calculate whether your conversions dropped last week compared to the week before, then you can make some custom columns with that. But there's like different options here. And for example, if you have, um, let's suppose 10 different type of conversions, there's like maybe phone calls coming in, form submissions, and like chat and other things, and you want to see a specific type of conversion only in a specific column, then you can use custom column, for example, to create that. Okay, so this is another topic, so we will discuss it in another video probably. Okay, this is all for now. Thank you.